up now as we come on the air from Eureka. First, uncovering the truth in Eureka. 370,000 of your dollars and where it goes.
They didn't get special treatment, so I don't know how to speak to it.
That local marketing firm that could get the title of having an unfair advantage. Why the city says it's time to tell the truth. And at least one killed at a Los Angeles area mall.
The entire Del Amo Fashion Center has been locked down.
The events leading up to shots fired. What new developments are coming out of Torrance tonight? Also,
they are very sweet people.
That memorial for those killed Friday in Virginia. What somber moments could be seen.
He was a good mentor to others, and he was a good friend.
We take you to Virginia Beach. Plus, crime in California.
Crime is an issue.
Why we are the only state in the nation not to prosecute some crimes. Our national reporter digging deeper into that data. North Coast News at 10 on Fox 28 starts now.
I think it ended up being somewhat mischaracterized. There were a few more changes than just the one page.
Smith, hundreds of thousands of your dollars that hang in the balance. Today, the city of Eureka announcing something fishy found in the recent request for proposals for marketing the city. They don't want to hurt the trust of the people, so we asked them what happens now. It all started earlier this year. The city of Eureka deciding to drop the Eureka Humboldt Visitors Bureau and go for something new.
We need to market Eureka in as broad a range as possible.
But now,
their electronic submission had not been submitted on time, and there were a few more changes than just the one page. We've taken responsibility for mistakes that have been made, inaccuracies that have been put forward, trying to make sure those are correct, people know the right information going forward.
The city says mistakes were made.
Allegedly, the visitor center got more time to amend their proposal.
Saying it was at this city council meeting May 21st where inaccuracies were put forward about proposals given by Humboldt Made. Planning Director Rob Homeland stating then that they submitted before the due date, then got to resubmit after the due date.
But as far as any of the actual proposal in writing, those kinds of things, was anything changed?
Lane, you manage that, so I think you need to answer that question.
Simply replacing that page with what should have been there. That's the only change.
So there were no changes, just for clarification, there were no changes in any of the details on the proposals as far as actually changing words or anything like that. It was just pages that were submitted incorrectly. Is that correct?
The page in question didn't have content. It was,
The city announcing that this wasn't the case, saying, quote, "This misinformation that has plagued the process is not only unfortunate, but unacceptable."
Where I think a lot of people have had a lot of good intentions, but maybe we've been a little bit familiar in the way we've moved forward. So now we are going to make things more process-oriented, and we're going to do a better job of tracking that process.
Now, the city says they'll be meeting with their attorney behind closed doors tomorrow to discuss this issue further. Well, looking national new developments tonight, at least one person was injured in a shooting at a Los Angeles area mall. There was a huge police presence out at the Del Amo Fashion Center Mall in Torrance after the shooting. Reports of shots fired coming in just around 3 p.m. today. They found one man on the scene with a gunshot wound. They say that victim was taken to the hospital in unknown condition. Authorities say the person who fired the shots fled that mall. Police there, they are now looking for a 20 to 25-year-old man with a shaved head. All the community in mourning and looking for answers after 12 innocent lives were gunned down. Camelia Bernal is in Virginia Beach with more.
Memorials springing up around Virginia Beach for the 12 people who lost their lives Friday.
We know at least 8 of the victims. They used to come here all the time, having a lunch with us. They are very sweet people. They are nice people.
Virginia Beach police were scheduled to hold a free community workshop on mass shootings Saturday, but the shooting happened Friday, creating confusion.
We found out later he was the actual shooter, and he was a co-worker. I knew him. I thought he was playing the part of an active shooter for our drill.
Police say the city engineer who opened fire at a municipal building was not disgruntled as had previously been reported. Earlier in the day, the 40-year-old sent a resignation email to his boss, and when asked why, he said it was for personal reasons.
At this point of the investigation, we do not have any of the information that he was targeting anyone specifically.
People are being asked to wear Blue Monday in memory of those whose lives were cut short.
He was somebody who was very comprehensive. He's soft-spoken. He thought things through. He was a good mentor to others, and he was a good friend.
In Virginia Beach, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
We have people saying, go ahead, you're just going to give me a citation. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, and our jails are always full, so they know what they can get away with.
Some law enforcement in California are taking issue with a law meant to lower punishment for drug and property crimes. Similar laws have been repeated in several states, and Sinclair National correspondent Angelica Alvarez tells us why some say that law isn't working and why it isn't.
Crime is an issue.
Herman Nagra owns a convenience store in Fresno, California. This surveillance video shows repeated crimes in his store, but it's crimes like theft the sheriff of Fresno County says gets light punishment and sparks repeat offenders.
Prop 47 reduced many felonies to misdemeanors.
Proposition 47 passed in California in 2014 and was amended in 2016. It lowers certain drug offenses to misdemeanors, as well as crimes like petty theft. So if you steal something worth $950 or less, it's a misdemeanor. Similar laws lessening drug offenses, some on at least first offenses, have been passed in 4 other states, including Oklahoma and Alaska, which also have a focus on property crimes.
We have people saying, go ahead, you're just going to give me a citation. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, and our jails are always full, so they know what they can get away with.
But supporters say the overall goal is to help end recidivism and help low-level criminals turn it around.
They might get their first offense in their late teens or early 20s.
Nicole Porter is the director of advocacy for the Sentencing Project. She says some of these laws also come with the intention to free up prison costs and allocate that money elsewhere. For example, in Oklahoma, there would be more money for drug and mental health treatment or job training. For store owners like Nagra, it could be a while before he sees the benefits of the law. So he says he's been promised an increased police presence and a push for more community policing. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angelica Alvarez.
Moving now locally, a Eureka man convicted of 16 felony charges, including continuous sexual abuse of a child, 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a child under 14, multiple counts of rape of a 14-year-old child, assault with intent to commit rape, and child pornography. All of this from the Humboldt County District Attorney, who says this guy, 38-year-old Seng Jimmy Yang, was convicted this morning by a Humboldt County jury. We gave you the info about him and updated you on his court cases over the years, but now the Eureka man is officially convicted according to the DA. The DA saying his case relied entirely on the heroic conduct of the 16-year-old Jane Doe in the case, facing her father during her testimony in court. Yang faces life in prison. The DA says he will be sentenced on July 29th. And looking nationally, a request coming from Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. It was denied. U.S. District Judge Brian Cogan has denied Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's request for better prison conditions. This request including at least 2 hours of outdoor recreation per week, access to the general population commissary, the ability to purchase 6 water bottles every week, and to obtain a set of earplugs to alleviate pain in his ear and to help him sleep. That convicted drug lord will earn his sentence on June 25th. In the meantime, he's detained at a prison in New York City. And coming back to California, the state's gearing up for the next major disaster during the first ever California for All Emergency Management Preparedness Summit. It's part of the state's plan for all emergency managers and first responders to prepare for large-scale disasters. They'll be going over new programs, past disasters, and even coming up with new ideas for addressing future emergency situations. The summit is a call to action by Governor Gavin Newsom.
And so the whole purpose of this is sort of set the table, set a different tone and tenor of accountability, responsibility, and resolve.
A component of the summit is to integrate a whole community approach to emergency management with resilience and preparedness. Well, the Eureka NAACP announcing the 2019 recipients of the Josiah Lawson Memorial Scholarships. This is the money given in honor of David Josiah Lawson, who was fatally stabbed at an off-campus party. The winners, they say, are Ayana Ray Watson from Eureka High, Lavender Alice Sharon Weberg from Arcata High, and Zora Jeanette Colps from McKinleyville High. Congratulations. Well, a major crash here in Eureka. Coming up on North Coast News, what business that car hit and why cops say they are now looking for the driver. And here is a look at, woo, that is beautiful. Look at this sunset today over the Woodley Island Marina. Remember when I was begging for that sun? Well, it came back, and it came back strong. The day started out with some clouds and fog, though, I'll admit. That old man sunshine coming bursting through this afternoon. Will he be around to stay, though? Our first alert meteorologist, Jessica Burge, coming at us from the Weather Center to let us know in just a bit. But first, investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovering there's not a lot that separates your children from the toxic legacy below the ground. You're going to want to hear this story in this night's Spotlight on America. That story's coming straight ahead. The time is 10:10. I'm Dylan Brown, and this is North Coast News.
Look at this Western Bacon Cheeseburger from Carl's Jr. Tangy barbecue sauce, charbroiled beef with crispy bacon and onion rings. It's time to give your taste buds a giddy up. The Western Bacon Cheeseburger, only at Carl's Jr.
This is my dad, Charles. The man is always on the go. Usually, he has a sports drink with lunch. But today, instead of a drink of tons of sugar, we're making our own with strawberries, lime, and a little mint. Then, Mom adds some sparkling water. It's a healthy drink that's loaded with flavor. Will my go-getter daddy approve? He does.
Celebrate healthy choices that lead to more successful futures. Visit CalFreshHealthyLiving.org.
The thing about sushi that's so great is it's another art form. You know, I can be really creative with the plating, the colors. I want it to be beautiful, and I want it to make that person that's eating it have an experience with it. I grab different flavors from a lot of other cultures, and I love what I do. And I'm going to make sure I give you the best experience I can give you. And I have 22 years of being a sushi chef to back that. So just come give me a shot.
River Plumbing. Hi again, Bigfoot. We'll be there in 5.
These are no ordinary Carl's Jr. fries, because these fries have the iconic flavor of the Western Bacon Cheeseburger. The new Western fries only at Carl's Jr. It's time to Western.
Thanks for watching North Coast News on KBVU Channel 28.
Moving to a dramatic video now. Police looking for someone who crashed a car into Pacific Outfitters in Eureka early this morning. You're seeing security camera footage from the store that shows a car take the ramp into the parking lot too fast, causing the car to go airborne just for a bit. Right there. Crashing into the building after reappearing into the frame. The suspect appears to immediately get out of the car, make a run for it down that alley right there. Went ahead and checked with Eureka police. They say that car was reported stolen from the 1900 block of Spring Street just after midnight. Still searching for that suspect. Well, new tonight, how does 2019 up to this point compare to the same time period last year when it comes to fire activity? CAL FIRE's got the latest on those numbers for you.
Last week, fire activity picked up dramatically, believe it or not, as the weather began warming up and conditions began drying out in many areas of the state, especially Northern California. You can see on our graphic that in total, we saw 158 new wildfires across the state. That's all jurisdictions across the state, 138 of which were within CAL FIRE's jurisdiction. Compared to last year, we've seen a decrease from last year's activity at this point in the year, as well as total acres burned, as you can see behind me here. But with the weather changing as rapidly as it has been, and with all the new vegetation growth due to the wet winter and spring months, we're likely to see that gap and those numbers close in the coming weeks.
The single active wildfire in CAL FIRE's jurisdiction as of this morning was the Citrus Fire down in Tulare County. However, CAL FIRE said that blaze was contained just before 3 this afternoon after burning 257 acres. Well, with wildfire season ramping up, though, some hospitals are taking some steps to be ready for the worst. Staff at Adventist Health Ukiah Valley held a drill Friday that was based on the experience of a hospital in Paradise during the Camp Fire in November. That drill consisted of treating patients for burns, checking for breathing problems, and testing for cyanide exposure. Since hospital staff says anyone involved in a structure fire has a high risk of cyanide poisoning. After victims were treated, that hospital simulated an actual evacuation of the hospital. But the Environmental Protection Agency estimates 1 in 4 Americans' lives within 4 miles of a hazardous waste site, within 4 miles of a hazardous waste site. Dozens of the most contaminated sites in the country have been cleaned up and turned into something you'd never expect. Recreational areas for kids. Investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovered there's not a lot that separates your children from the toxic legacy below ground in this Spotlight on America.
These cheering families likely don't know there's a dirty secret that lies beneath the diamond their kids are playing on. It's called a Superfund site. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Environmentalists consider Superfund sites some of the most contaminated sites in the country. They're the more than 1,300 spots nationwide where the government says hazardous waste was dumped or mismanaged. Over a number of years, they're cleaned up to varying degrees, but more than 40 Superfund sites have been turned into something surprising: parks, recreation areas, and athletic fields.
I would question whether you would want to turn it into a public facility where people are, playing, kids are around.
That's exactly what's happened, with signs of the site's past all around. For instance, the candy cane towers and spinning fans that run along the third base line here, venting out chemicals. And at other sites, monitoring wells that pick up potentially contaminated groundwater are tucked between the swings and soccer fields.
I believe they've done things properly. I haven't heard anything bad about it. I don't think you'd put a children's park on something that would be harmful.
As long as the chemicals remain in the ground, the risks remain.
Stephen Lester has been raising awareness about the toxic legacy of Superfund sites since the 70s.
If my kids were going to play on that field, I would want to have a certain comfort level and how much cleanup occurred there. What are the barriers between that contamination and the kids playing soccer?
We found it depends because there's no national cleanup standard. So this community park has a leak-proof cover that contains volatile chemicals left behind by an industrial waste dump, while this former pharmaceutical plant polluted by arsenic has just 2 feet of dirt under its new athletic fields, covering moderately contaminated soil.
As much as we know about so many chemicals, we know very little about what levels are actually going to produce adverse effects in people, especially when you have mixtures over long periods of time. So there's large uncertainty about this.
But the documents make it seem so black and white, with the Environmental Protection Agency labeling these converted sites protective of human health. The EPA wouldn't do a sit-down interview with us to explain or talk at length about Superfunds, but generally they consider them protective when the threat of human exposure is under control. Often, agency records show there are rules in place to limit exposure, but they don't always work. For instance, disturbing the soil at this Superfund site turned athletic complex isn't allowed, but the only mention of that is under the rules for disc golf.
Who's going to read that, first of all? Who's going to pay attention to something like that? Institutional controls just are not sufficient to provide protection for these sites in the long haul.
And it's the long-term unknown impact that raises real questions.
Should parents be letting their kids on these fields?
There are very few toxic sites that I would let my children play on without knowing anything more about it than what government tells me.
I'm Josie Sturman for Spotlight on America.
North Coast News, here's another shot of that gorgeous sunset from earlier today. This is over by Coast Guard Plaza on the Eureka waterfront. You see some people out there enjoying that great springtime weather, but can we look forward to more of the same throughout the work week? First Alert meteorologist Jessica Birch coming at us with Weather Center in just 2 minutes. That time is 10:18. This is North Coast News.
The lies.
You're on something.
Were you obsessed? No.
Did you run her down with the car?
The lie detectors.
You are so full of baloney.
One of you is not going to get away with it.
Were you being a troublemaker?
Packer, Corriero, Domingo.
I don't trust you this much, and I don't trust you. I have the same exact amount.
Hot bench.
Weekdays on Fox 28.
Easier, come on. What can I do to help you?
Come on, buddy, headphones.
What?
Hey! Okay, all right. What kind of you said I don't want to talk about it. Wait. Trey, what are you doing? And the molecules will...
Congratulations on your new job, babe. Super proud of you.
Thanks. Too bad I have to drive this thing to work.
Yeah, this is a problem.
Hey, you guys know that Mickey's does cash for clunkers, right? They'll take almost anything. And as long as you pick out a car in the lot that's listed for $10,000, they'll give you up to $3,500 towards your down payment.
The Cash for Clunkers program at Mickey's Quality Cars is your chance to upgrade and get something for nothing. Come on in and talk to our friendly staff, pick out a car on the lot listed at $10,000 or more, and get up to $3,500 towards a down payment. Get rid of that clunker and upgrade your life at Mickey's Quality Cars.
You're watching North Coast News on KBVU Fox 28.
Well, warming temperatures are definitely on their way this week. However, there is a cold front right behind my shoulder. This low pressure system is slowly making its way towards the North State, and along with it is a cold front. So we're going to be seeing a little bit cooler temperatures starting Thursday and Friday, mostly 80s, but that's inland. As for the coast, we're seeing still relatively same temperatures. So let's take a look at your marine forecast. High tide tonight around midnight. It's going to get up to 8 feet, and then your low tide is going to be 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. And winds are coming from the north from 5 to 15 knots. Waves are coming from the northwest at 7 feet with periods of 7 seconds, And then there also is a small craft advisory in effect, and that goes all the way until tomorrow late evening. So keep that in mind, as well as the patchy fog that's out on the coast. So let's take a look at current conditions. 51 degrees right now over near Arcata, Eureka area. Winds are coming from the northwest at 8 miles per hour, gusting up to 10. As for Crescent City, calmer winds. Current conditions right now, 53 degrees right outside. So let's take a look at Precision Cast to pinpoint anything that's coming up. Starting the clock off tonight, we don't see anything, and then drying up tomorrow, we still don't see anything, not even overcast. Now going all the way to Tuesday, late afternoon, on your commute time home, mostly dry conditions. So we're seeing a little bit of a different pattern than what we're used to. As for winds, we're also seeing tonight we're getting all the way up 15, 17 miles per hour near Crescent City and Eureka. Those will start to calm down going Tuesday at 9 a.m. 15 miles actually still in Eureka, 15 miles per hour. And then Tuesday late afternoon, we're kicking all the way up to the 20s along the coast. As for the inland, we're staying a little bit more calmer, less than 10 miles per hour. So let's take a look now at tomorrow's daytime highs, mostly along the coast, 60s. We're warming all the way up over there in Willow Creek to 90 degrees though. So we're getting close to those triple digits in the inland areas. Garberville, 88 degrees, 85 over in Alder Point. And then along this coast as well, we're seeing temperatures get up to the 60s mostly, except for Crescent City. Tomorrow's daytime high is going to be at 58 degrees, 83 over in Gasquet, and then 97 over in Orleans. We're warming up a lot when it comes to the inland. So let's talk about the next 7 days. Starting off with the coast, we're seeing patchy fog Tuesday, Wednesday, tapering off by Thursday. That's when that cold front actually pushes through. So if you're looking at these numbers, Wednesday late night, that's when that's moving through the North State, leaving us with cooler conditions. But as for the coast, we're only seeing it drop down to just below 60. And then it picks right back up to end the work week. Saturday, Sunday, 63 up to 67. Then starting next work week, we're already in the 60s again. So same setup, honestly. Overnight lows are going to be in the upper 40s, lower 50s. And then as for the inland, this is where we really see the big difference with the weather. Tuesday, patchy fog. Wednesday, it's sunny and warm. We're seeing warm temperatures those 2 days. But then look at Thursday, 74 degrees. So we go from 90s all the way to 74. So that's going to be the setup for the inland when it comes to that cold front pushing through. Back to you guys.
This is where dreams are made, where story is sacred. Actors become icons, and all the world is a stage. This place is transformation, inspiration, and maybe immortality. We tell Hollywood stories.
Weeknights on Fox 28.
Are you pouring money down the drain?
Well, I just got my wireless bill.
You can switch for free to U.S. Cellular.
Really?
Plus get paid back for data you don't use with the Unlimited with Payback plan.
No way. All that money wasted at the wrong provider.
Switch to U.S. Cellular and get Unlimited with Payback for $40 per line. The only plan that pays you back for data you don't use. Just switch to U.S. Cellular, building your next generation 5G network.
For 50 years, Cracker Barrel has been cooking home-style favorites to perfection. We thought we'd celebrate by making our golden anniversary extra golden. Introducing new, crispy, juicy Southern Fried Chicken. Now at Cracker Barrel.
Want a relaxing pedicure? Relaxing pedicure?
My feet get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's for healthy feet. Guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked feet. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my feet back.
North Coast News, weekdays at 10 p.m. on Fox 28. Get the facts right.
Welcome to Sports North Coast. Leading us off tonight, leveling the playing field. Game 2 of the NBA Finals was last night. The Warriors in unfamiliar territory, dropping Game 1 of the Finals for the first time during their 5-year run. Raptors getting the nice dunk here in transition. We've got Fred VanVleet lobbing to Pascal Siakam for the monster alley-oop. Look at that. Oh, some more good stuff early from Toronto. Norman Powell with a nice cut to the basket. Throws down a nice slam of his own right there. Raptors lead this one by 5 at the half, but third quarter is where the whole game changed. Warriors got hot and opened up the quarter on an 18-0 run, turning that 5-point deficit into a what? A 13-point lead. We got fourth quarter coming up now. Another scary moment for Warrior fans. Klay Thompson right here takes a three, tries to draw the foul, landing awkwardly, straining his hamstring and would not return. We got an update on his status in just a minute, but back to the game right here. Raptors keeping it close and have a chance at the end. Kawhi Leonard misses, but the rebound finds its way to Danny Green, who nails the three to make this a 2-point game. Ensuing Warriors possession. Steph Curry nearly throws this ball away, but the Warriors recover, find it wide open. Andre Iguodala, who drains the three-pointer, and that would be the dagger. Warriors are winning this one 109-104. We got Game 3 tomorrow at 6 as the series shifts over to Oakland. Let's go ahead and look over ahead to Game 3, though. The Warriors battling the injury bug lately. Warriors say they are optimistic Klay Thompson will play after straining his hamstring in the fourth quarter of Game 2. The news isn't as good, though, for Warriors center Kevin Looney, who is likely out for the rest of the finals after fracturing cartilage that connects the sternum to the ribs. That sounds like a tough one. As for Kevin Durant, though, who's not played since Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals, his status for Game 3 remains uncertain. Durant trying to come back from that right calf strain still. But the Warriors looking pretty good without Kevin Durant. All right, we're going to toss it back to you right after this.